What's up, guys? We are back. Today, we're going to be discussing how to go from 20 clients to 100 clients fast. So, you're just starting out your business, you're finally getting things rolling, you got 20 clients. Well, the next big milestone in your business is a 100 client mark. You hit that 100 client mark, and your business is doing very, very well. So, how do you get there? How do you get there as fast as possible? Well, first off, I would go back and listen to previous episodes that we did to make sure that you have the back end systems done correctly. We recently did an episode on the 3 systems that you need in your business right away. So I recommend having those in place first. So this way you can focus on just the marketing and the sales of it. So that's the first step first. Make sure you have the basics in place. But now we got to go back to our analogy we've used on other episodes before, the fishing boat. My fishing boat analogy. That is the key with growing your business fast. So Jimmy, I know what it is, but what's the fishing boat analogy? I'll give you some airtime here.
Well, if you haven't heard about it before and you're not an avid listener, and this is the first time you've heard of us, when you're talking about growing business, and you're talking about growing your lead pipeline, right, as we talk about. So you got a pipeline, but we like to think about it as a fishing boat. Because when you look at a fishing boat, you go out in the water, you can find a school of fish where they're plentiful and they're big and fat and they got a lot of meat on them, right? That's those clients that got a lot of that dinero in their pockets, you know? So you find where that school of fish is, you park your boat, and maybe you put one reel in the water, right? But one reel might not be good enough. It might be old, might not work well. You might have to work hard to get that fish up because that reel is just rusty, right? So you got to put another one in and another one in and another one in. And then eventually you need a team to help you reel those fish in and work those poles. And each one of those poles in the water is an aspect of your marketing, right? So whether it's digital advertising, paid, digital advertising, organic, website optimization, referral promotions, working with other businesses to help you grow your member base by, a symbiotic referral relationship with them. You want to put those poles in the water and find that school of fish that's plentiful, right? And lube up and grease up those reels, right? So we want to look at all of these things as how we're going to grow our businesses and how we're going to make them bigger from a sense of that 20 client mark. Because that 20 client mark is the mark where that solopreneur finally feels like they're getting somewhere, right? Like you're a solopreneur, you started out with 0, you're building it up to 20, maybe 30 people, and you're like, oh, I really got something here that works for me that I'm like doing, right? But you're doing every single thing at that moment, right? So we have to look at first how we're going to put more poles in the water and what we're going to do, and then look at the other aspects of it. Because for Anthony and I, it probably took us a little bit longer to get to that point than, at least for me, it took me longer to get to that point than I would have liked, right? It took me maybe 18 months, something like that. Maybe 2 years to go from that 20 to 100. But now that we have the tricks and the trade secrets and have learned from our actions and the things that we've learned, we're going to share with you how to do it faster so that you cut that time in half and you can go and make and execute it in a shorter period of time, right? So first step is managing those poles in the water. So, Ant, what's our first poll with these 20 client guys? Like, what do we want them to be doing?
Well, first things first is you have to make sure you have the right bait on there, right? So you want the like Jimmy said, the big, fat, chummy fish, right? The ones with the deep pocket. You got to make sure you got the right, bait on the hook. You can't, I don't know how to say this like the right way, I guess, but like some offers don't resonate well with people. When people are very wealthy, they don't care about free. Like free is not really like I don't know, free. You know what I mean? And I was having this conversation the other day with a gym owner, but like the rich clients aren't on Facebook. You know, they're not on Facebook. They're not scrolling through their phone. You know, they're out and about doing different things. So you got to find like where they are and what the message is that talks to them. So speaking directly to the fish that you want to attract is really, really important. So that's first and foremost. And a generic offer won't necessarily work for the right people that you're trying to get into your gym. I will say that first and foremost. But the first pull in the water is going to be your referral system. And I always called it a referral system because you need to have specific things that you do on your marketing calendar for a whole year that drive referrals to your business. Not, oh, I get referrals. Okay, how? How do you get referrals? What are the things that you do to drive referrals in? And having a constant system. So that's going to be like I would say like your main pull. It's one of the poles that's going to sit there in the water all the time, and it's going to it kind of like that pole always like when the fish come near it, other fish go near that pole. Like that's going to be the one with like it's easier to reel up. It's the shorter line. It sits right by the boat, but it's an easy way to pull the fish in and reel the fish in. So your referral one and referral system specifically is going to be key. If you don't have a referral system, and you can go back and listen to other episodes we talked about, or you can click the link below and get our best referral play that we have. You can get it totally free, and you can add 10 clients to your gym right away in 7 days with zero ad spend. So that's the first pull, Jimmy, is the referral pull. And again, like I said, referral system pull, not just, oh, I get referrals randomly. No, no, no. System means consistently. So that's the first pull.
And the system has to be dialed in. Like there has to be a process around it. Like Anthony's saying, he's harping on it so hard because the system has to be set. So it's one of these things that I don't think either of us realized until we were in our businesses for a little while. Because when you're in the beginning, you're like, oh, somebody wants to bring their friend with them to a workout. Cool, right? Or if you're really not savvy about business, you're like, oh, someone wants to bring their friend in for a workout. They're going to have to pay a drop-in fee for that, right? That's how people think in the beginning. They're like, oh, one of my clients wants to bring their friend in for a workout. They're going to have to pay a drop-in fee for that. I need to get paid for that time. And it's like, smack yourself in the back of the head and say, why are you thinking that way? Knock that thought right out of your head, because part of the referral systems that you build allow people to try your product for free, right? It's the samples at Costco. It's the Costco samples, right? Try it. Try a little bit of this for free. You can have somebody try one workout for free, right? Do not be charging people for, and this is a little bit of a tangent, but don't charge people for drop-ins when they're friends of your members that are coming in to try your facility. Even if they try 3 or 4 workouts for free and they make a decision to join, it's well worth it. And well below the cost of lead acquisition on digital. I'll tell you that much. So we look at this referral play and it compounds upon itself. But if you don't have this system in place where every other month or maybe even every month, you have an opportunity for people to bring referrals in, and you train your staff on how to talk to these people about these referrals, and you have a script around talking to people about referrals, which we can help you build. If you get on the phone with us, we can talk about it, right? You build a script around it. You talk to people about it. You put that bait on that pole, because that pole is going to give you the best fish. You want the best bait on there, right? The best fish come from your current member base. And if you have a system and a process in place around it, as opposed to just saying, I get referrals, a system and a process that you track and you see how many referrals you actually get, which is where we built our perfect client multiplier system that you guys can get for free, right? That's how we built it, which is we built it by tracking, trying different initiatives and tracking it and going from there.
Agreed. I'm going to let you take the second one, because I hope you say the one that I'm thinking you're going to say, but the second one is probably, I would say you've stumbled upon. So Jimmy found like this rod, right? And he told me about this rod, this fishing pole rod. He's like, you got to start using this fishing pole rod. It brings the fish in. So I'll let you talk about that one.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what exactly
What's
we're
the
talking
second pole, man? Come on, you killed me, man. It was just a build up there.
about. Build up, build up. Well,
What
sometimes
did you
when
what
we
did you
build things
force
up, I say the wrong thing.
what did you influence me to start doing?
Oh, like you weren't doing any like Facebook advertising at all?
Yes, a paid acquisition strategy. So that is the second poll. You basically want that poll. I will tell you though, this fancy, shiny new rod that you're going to put at the end of your boat to try to reel fish in, it can work magically, but sometimes that rod can get screwed up. The reel might not work right away. For those fishing people, I'm sorry if I'm saying the wrong thing. I know nothing about fishing,
Or
but
your line
you know,
gets tied up and caught on
yeah,
shit,
your
you know.
line's gonna get tied up. Sometimes the bait is awesome. Sometimes the bait is not good. Sometimes the fish bite on the hook and you're able to reel them all the way up. They get to the top and then they just fall right back into the water. So this pole, while
Sometimes
it
you
is,
just pull in driftwood, man.
yeah, exactly. But you know, this pole is awesome, but it can be a little bit of a headache to use.
Yeah.
So but you need it. It's one of those poles that you need it. You need to be able to throw. Uh, I'm trying to think of a fishing analogy, but you need to be able to sometimes reel in a lot more fish so you can get paid for the fish that you're reeling in. You need to be able to reel them in. And sometimes the fish aren't going to be the right size and you got to kind of throw them back, but at least you've got some play going. And sometimes the beautiful part about a paid acquisition strategy and having that in place is it's almost like omnipresence. It almost acts like a billboard for you because when you turn on and you throw that pole in the water, right, and you with really good like a really good bait on it, it attracts other fish to it. And sometimes the fish don't bite on that hook, but then they bite on the other hook. Maybe they visit your website and they bite on that hook, which we'll talk about in a minute, or maybe they have a friend that comes to your gym and they saw you through a paid acquisition strategy and they bite on that hook. So that's one of the cool things about it too. It kind of acts as like a lure along with a good reel. But go ahead, you could talk about that one.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's funny because sometimes I don't know what Anthony's getting at when he's trying to like bait me into saying something specific. I've screwed it up a couple times, so I'm a little bit gun shy this moment. Yeah, paid acquisition strategy was something that. So to talk a little bit for Ant here, he was able to grow his business to a pretty decent size without doing any real paid advertising, right? Like, I think you were at $500,000, right, when you got to the point where we finally started using it, and but he got to $500,000 with organic social media posting, referral systems, and those were generally the two big poles, right? I mean, like, and then some charity events and stuff like that, right? Were like the big things. And so the paid acquisition strategy, though, the thing is, if you get it right and you get that flywheel going, it can transform your business in a short period of time. Like, and that's why I'm such a big proponent of it. As frustrating as it can be, and as many leads as like come through that aren't as qualified, or piss you off because they don't answer the phone or whatever it may be, and you think you're just like banging your head against the wall, when you really look at it, it's like, okay, between 10 and 20% of these leads are going to become clients, right? But if you look at it from that perspective, okay, you spent maybe at the most you spent $400 to acquire this client, right? You have to look at the return on that investment, because you look at everything else. We talked about this in other podcasts. You look at everything else and you go, well, that's just time. That's just time, right? It's time to train a client for free. It's time to put together a charity event. It's time to do an event online or to put up organic social media posting. Oh, it's just my time that costs. Well, your time is money, right? And if you can set up a Facebook ad, set it and forget it, and spend between $200 and $400 to acquire a client, as opposed to spending the hours to acquire that client, it's still worth it and still valuable. So you have to look at your return. And every time I get pissed off at Facebook because my staff is following up with clients or potential clients that are, you know, being, you know, less than inviting on the phone with my client, with my staff, and being rude to them, and you know, you're going to experience that. Every time I look at Facebook and go, I don't want to do Facebook anymore. I don't want to do advertising on digital. I go back and I run the math and I go, nope, I got to keep doing it because the return is so big from that acquisition strategy. The return is by far one of the best returns you're going to get from a paid acquisition source. You're not going to get that return from billboard. You're not going to get that return from a magazine or a newspaper ad. You know, the old school stuff, you're not going to get a return like you can from Facebook because it's dynamic and you can change the creative and the copy and make sure it's fresh to your audience, change the audience you're segmenting, look at the data, see what the return is, spend a little here, spend less there. There's a lot of things you can do with it. And it's a complicated beast. So, you know, go with caution, but we can help you with it. It's a good way to boost from where you're at to where you want to go because it works so fast, right?
Yeah. And like I said, too, it also has like that billboardy effect to it where other people see it. I'm not saying you guys should go get a billboard. That is probably, that's like the kiddie pole that you're throwing in the water there. You're not going to get anything from that. That's not a good enough pole. It's not strong enough to pull in those fat, meaty fish that we need. So the next pole is going to be your website. And these are probably the three main poles. We'll talk about just the three main poles. I have another one, but we could go over that in another episode. But the third one, and the three main, this is the three that you should have in your business, is going to be your website. You got to have a good website. And that is probably the pillar pole that's going to kind of sit in the middle, where on the right side, you got your referral, and that's a really good pole too. So you got those two poles. And then on the left side, you got your Facebook, beautiful looking, you know, reel that kind of acts like a real pole that acts like a lure as well. But your website needs to be that pillar staple pole in the water that's going to pull in a good amount of clients. I mean, just last week alone, I got 7 leads from my website because I go in there and I optimize it and I optimize it and I change things and I look at the tracking and I track things and I look and say, okay, what is this person doing when they hit my website? What part of the website needs to be changed? And I'm constantly tweaking things. Sometimes I feel like I'm breaking things when I'm tweaking it, but sometimes I'm not. And I get like a really good like return when I do certain things. So you got to go in there. You got to look at your website. And, you know, contrary to what most people think, I do my website myself because it's easier for me to make changes. A lot of people will say that that's not a good time investment. But for me, where I'm at in my business, I can make enough changes quickly enough and monitor it to pull in more fish. So I like to have full control of my website just to be able to like do certain things to it rather quickly. But that's me. If you want somebody else to run your website, that's fine. But you should still be looking at the data from it. And if you're not getting any pull from somebody else doing your website, then it might be time to either find somebody else to do it or learn how to do it yourself. So
Right.
that's what I have to say. But the website is that main pillar pole. That's going to be the one that sits right in the middle that, you know, will reel in the right fish. And usually people who find you from your website are people who are searching for, you know, a personal trainer organically. And those are the best clients. And you could say, you could probably put another poll for like your Google page, but I would classify the Google page and your website as kind of one thing because they kind of do go hand in hand. You should definitely have them linked on your website. So it's almost like your website's the main poll, and then your Google My Business page is like another reel on, I don't know any fishing analogies, but it's like it hooks onto that main one. But I would lump those in together because they kind of are the same thing.
Yeah, it would be like the like reinforced
steel.
the reinforced steel, whatever it is. Like you're reinforcing it with Google My Business, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, and the main number one thing with Google My Business, fill out all your information on Google My Business and get people to review you on Google. The more reviews you have, the easier it is for somebody to make a decision to work with you, right? Because if you look at a restaurant, say you look up a restaurant on Google, right? And one restaurant has 500 reviews and they have a 4.7. Okay. 500 reviews with 4.7 score. You look at another restaurant and it has 2 reviews that are 5-star. Which restaurant are you going to? The 500, right? The 500, because more people have been there. So the more people you get to review your business on Google My Business, the more influx of clients you're going to get. And when we look at website, you know, I have somebody that does my website for me. I don't want to deal with that, right? Anthony does it himself. But we would both agree that the number one thing on your website that makes it work is speed. How fast is your website loading, right? Somebody clicks through, they're looking for personal trainers. They search personal training near me on Google. You might have SEO optimization where you come up on the first page or you're the first result, but they click that link and it's like loading, loading, loading. They're off. They bounce, right? They're not seeing your website because they're bounced. So invest in speed of that website. If you need somebody to talk to, we can always put a link in the show notes, or you can look up, you know, my guy, Sam at Odin's 3. He's developing, you know, a bigger SEO business. He does website management and design. So helps with the upload speed. Our speed increased a ton recently, our upload speed, and we're getting leads left and right this week from our website because our speed is so much better, because we just launched the speed improvement, and then the more leads are coming through. So those are the 3, right? The 3 main ones. I think we probably beat this one up pretty good with those 3 main polls for you to grow your business from 20 to 100 quickly. But it's all of these things together, guys. It's not, oh, I got my referrals going. Oh, I got my perfect client multiplier installed in my business. Cool. Right? Okay. I got that installed. Boom. Right? From FPM, they gave it to me for free. I got that installed. That's all I needed to do. No. Every one of those clients, you multiply them by asking them to give you a review. You multiply them by having them post on social, right? And then you have a digital marketing strategy that allows you to get that client in, use the other systems to multiply that client into more, right? They all work together to get you there faster, and you got to implement all 3. You don't have to do them all right away if you feel overwhelmed, but start with one, get it solid, then move on to the next one. I'd probably get your referral strategy solid first, get your website optimized first, and then get people to review you on Google like crazy, then start running paid traffic in that order. But you could do all of that in 90 days. Get all that done.
Yeah, if you guys just click that link below, you can get the referral strategy right there for free. Just implement that probably 6 times a year and you're good to go. You'll have a lot of clients like that. So if you guys want any help with this, make sure you click those links below. There's a bunch of things. You could join our Facebook group, follow us in there, post a ton of good informant stuff on there. So join that. And if you're interested in booking a call and talking to us to help you get to that next level, you can find that link there as well. Leave us a 5-star review listening to this. Again, Anthony and Jimmy, Fitness Profit Multiplier, and we are out.